Greetings to everybody. I'm Joseph Williams, and we're sitting here in my studio here in Santa Monica, California, where I write music for film and television, and did some of the vocals for the Vertigo record. And we're gonna, I guess I'm gonna answer some questions about the project, the Vertigo project, and my involvement in it. And here we go.
What are the aspects that excited you and you appreciated most, both for music and in the thought behind this project?
Well, obviously it excited me to be able to do this kind of singing again. It's been many, many years since I've done, this kind of singing I call screaming. That's just my kind of term for it, because my vocal range is actually a lot lower than what I'm used to doing as a singer. So it's a little bit more screaming than it is sort of actual singing. But I'm known for that, I guess, a little bit. At least that's what I used to do when I was with TOTO. And it was exciting, and I felt very enthusiastic about doing something like this again. When the opportunity came up.
What was the biggest difference that you find working in a situation like this, where you were probably more focused as a singer more than actually a band member or a writer, developer, and something, but you had more time to concentrate on your vocals? Was that a plus, a minus?
I wanted to make this record, and I wanted to do something with Serafino and with Frontiers, and this just seemed like a natural way to do it, to just look at some outside songs and have them be produced on the outside, so that I could just concentrate on the vocals. And I enjoy both ways. I mean, I enjoy the process of producing or co-producing, being involved that way. But with my schedule as it was at the time this project came about, this was perfect. This was just a perfect way to do this kind of thing.
Do you see a future for example, Vertigo 2, a follow-up? And if you do, how you would like to see yourself this time?
Well, I first of all definitely see a future for the Vertigo type project. I don't know if it would necessarily come under the heading of Vertigo, but even if it did, I would love to do more of them. I would like to make a Vertigo record every year if I could. And obviously I would like to maybe be a little bit more involved in terms of songwriting, maybe add some songs and stuff. I loved the concept of having a producer put the tracks together entirely and work with the musicians and stuff, and then come in purely as a singer.
So do you think the Vertigo project helped you in kind of rediscover the Joseph Williams rock performer, artist? Do you think there is a still in development, a future for you again as a singer, as a rock singer, or you see yourself more concentrating and focusing in your music score and your successful career in that?
Well, I look at it this way. For the last 10 years or so, I've been composing for films and television, 24 films at this point, and I've worked on like 14 different television series. And it's become a kind of what I call a bread and butter job for me. But having said that, I still, to this day, think of myself as a singer first, number one. And any opportunity to either develop or to get back into the world of doing rock records and singing and stuff, I always want to jump on that. I just found that at a certain point after I left TOTO that there were less opportunities for me to make records, and so I felt like I needed to move into something else so that I could just keep creating musically.
Well, you, again, a successful composer, you coming from a family, with a big name. I mean, we all acquainted with your father's successes, and, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Jaws. I mean, those are big shoes to fill when it comes down to music and composing. Do you think that kind of environment helped you in shape who you are now, who Joseph Williams is as a singer, writer, composer, artist? Or you think that that part of your family or your past will help you in become who you are, related just to the music composition for the TV?
Well, my father is a film composer. My mother was a singer, and as you mentioned, and as I mentioned to you, a generation before that, my grandparents were voiceover artists and radio actors, and my grandmother, my mother's mother, was a television actress. So I was born into this thing, and since there was so much of this going on in the home when I was a kid, it just eventually I realized that there was really nothing else that I was going to do in life but be an entertainer of some kind.
TOTO was a very, very influential band, and nobody can deny it. And great musicianship and great songwriting. What kind of influences brought you to become the singer that landed that position? I mean, do you understand me?
Yeah, I do. I think there's a lot of reasons why I ended up being in that group. The first one that I think I would have to talk about is the fact that the Porcaro brothers also come from actually they're from New Jersey, but they moved out here into California, to Hollywood, and a musical family. Their father worked with my father, so we all knew each other, when we were younger and stuff. And I knew what they were doing when they started their band, and was a huge fan of their band in the very beginning. And what I did at the beginning of my career as a singer is I used to do impersonations of singers. And one of my favorite voices to mimic was Bobby Kimball. And I had several jobs. I worked in a play in Las Vegas, this sort of musical review, where I was imitating different singers and working on that aspect of my voice, not just singing the way I did in TOTO, but singing like Elvis, and singing like Billy Joel, and singing like Sonny Bono, and singing like a lot of different people. Fred Astaire when he sang, that kind of thing. And Kenny Loggins, was a favorite voice of mine to try and do. And then I went from there to work as a background singer for Jeffrey Osborne for several years and several tours, and sort of got my touring legs and all of that. And then the position opened up in TOTO. They were looking for somebody. A mutual friend of ours suggested me for the job, and when I went to meet with the guys and sing for them, I knew them already, of course, and they from our family's connection. And I just kind of started doing my best imitation or impression of Bobby Kimball, and they liked it, and they could see that I could sing those songs. But what they were looking for more than anything, they needed somebody who could sing the high parts and be the lead singer, but they were looking for somebody who could write songs. We were looking for somebody who could compose, songs, write lyrics and stuff. And at that time, when I joined the band, I had, a catalog of songs that I had written while working with several different publishing companies.
How does it feel knowing that for a big part of your life you were like constantly on everybody's house, to the radio, to the TV, in their car stereo, and just probably people got married on your songs, people made love on your songs? How does that feel?
Well, it feels great. I mean, it's exciting and gratifying to know that. I didn't really discover that people, that there were really fans of the records I did with TOTO until way later. When after years had gone by and kids or teenagers who were teenagers in 1986, 1987, 1988, those years. Kids who were 16, 17, 18 years old who were listening to TOTO at that time, who discovered the band at that time and thought of me as being the lead singer of the group, because they were more acquainted with my stuff than maybe Kimball's stuff earlier on, grew into adults and started having kids of their own. And it was only then that I started to really realize that people had been affected by the work that I did with them. Because I always thought, even when I was in the group and after the group, that the TOTO was most famous for their first few albums, which is true anyway. They were the ones that sold the most and had the most famous songs on them. So I always kind of discounted the work that I did with them as being maybe not so famous or not so important as the earlier TOTO work. So it was really exciting, obviously, to find out that there were people that that remember TOTO for the time that I was in the group.
One last thing, how do you see Joseph Williams in the next future? And if you have like a special message to your fans out there.
Well, how do I see myself? Hopefully alive. I just want to keep working and stay alive, and my life is about music and about singing, and I just any way that I can stay in that business, in that arena, I will, whether it's composing or singing. I'd like to continue to do both. I'd like to do more with the composing and stuff, but I have no intentions of trying to step into my father's world or shoes. I'm perfectly happy doing what I've been able to do over the last few years. And as I said, I think of myself as a singer first. So in the future, I would like to make more records, and more records with Frontiers, and more Vertigo records, and more Joseph Williams records, and continue to do that. And to the fans, I would just say I'm extremely gratified that you guys are out there and that you're interested in hearing music and records from me, and it's my hope that for many years I can give you great records and great singing, and I appreciate everybody's support, and just enjoy the Vertigo record, and keep your eyes and ears open for more to come.